FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kiteshare Radio.
COVID-19 tips sponsored by Dex Soap. 1. Practice social distancing. 2. Wear your mask when leaving the house. 3. Wash your hands regularly for 20 seconds using our Dex Soap. 4. Cover your nose and mouth with a disposable tissue or flex elbow when you cough or sneeze. Choose Dex Soap for that extra cleanliness. Dex Soap is affordable and available nationwide.
Obey your thirst for the truth.
Because you're worth knowing the truth.
Quench it with Kiteshare Radio.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kiteshare Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kiteshare Radio.
Yes, it is now 13 hours 35 and the guys are in studio all ready for COVID-19 and Elections Watch. Good afternoon, Guyana. This afternoon at the helm of the program, as usual, senior journalist of Kiteshare News, Leonard Gildarie, sipping something from a white cup, whatever it is. It is only 13 hours 35. We hope there's nothing too strong in there. And we also have his loyal co-host, Mr. Dr. Uncle Yog Mahadeo. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, and wherever you are, I want to say good day to you. Lots of energy in the studio here at Kiteshare Radio, Saffron Street here today. This is in Charlestown, and the newsroom is getting ready to do their thing today as normal, every day, 365 days a year, except when it's, I think, New Year's, it's Christmas Day, it's Boxing Day, Good Friday. All the rest of the year, the people in the newsroom downstairs, Kiteshare Radio has been doing their thing. So I want to say good day, welcome wherever you join us from right across this beautiful country of ours. We have a lot of energy in the studio here today, and I'm all pumped up. It has been a weekend which I took some time off just to kick back. It was very depressing last week when we heard the stories, at least for me, and I know Yog would have been paying very close attention to some of the stories, or people would have been reaching out, and the level of suffering that's out there, and the depression from our people. It has put some spirits up in us that we must do something. We're going to talk to you a little about that in a little while. So wherever you are from across this beautiful nation of ours, wherever you join us from in this country, stay good. Make sure that you put your head, look upwards, because there's much to hope for. We will continue to put hope in you, not only from Kiteshare Radio here, from the staffers at Kiteshare News, but of course from the homes of Dr. Yog Mahadeo, myself, and all the staffers here. So a good day to you. And if you're joining us, which we know that you are from overseas, a good day to you from Canada, from the US, from Europe, across the Caribbean, our neighbors in Brazil, Of course, Suriname, as far as French Guyana, St. Lucia, Mr. Dion Ryan, how are you? And of course, my people down in Grove and Diamond. And good day to my wonderful co-host who's been with me. He's not as young as I am, but he's been as energetic as I am. So good day to you, Yog Mahadeo. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. And it's good to be here once again.
Very good. And so you're all ready for a week in which is going to be, I would not use the word exciting, but I'm going to say we are going to use the word that, or use words that has to do with hope, that has to do with upliftment of our people, because that's what I see. I have a very good thing about this week. That is because I believe that there comes a time in a man's life when he has to decide when he's going to take the crossroads to nowhere or to somewhere. And our people, our leaders, our politicians have been leading us down a path that seem to have put this country in a downward spiral, out of control, that would have put us in a very dark place. But we're not going to allow you to do that. That is because we are here and we are going to fight it. We have been fighting it here for 140 days plus since that March the 2nd elections. Yes, it is, Yog. 140 days since March the 2nd elections, July the 20th, 2020. And we have much to tell you today. For example, at 4 p.m., we are going to bring you coverage from the court, the High Court, which is going to, you remember that case last week on Friday, it was a marathon session, and there was supposed to be a ruling on elections 2020. One of the cases, I've lost count, Yog, as to the number of court cases that would have come after March the 21st, 2018, when there was a no confidence motion. I've lost count of the number of court cases. I believe it may be touching 20. I think we are going to go to the Guinness Book of World Record for another feat. So that's where we are. So that at 4:30, the Chief Justice acting Roxanne George, 4 o'clock rather, Chief Justice Roxanne George is going to get ready. We are going to get ready to bring you live coverage from the High Court, and that's Kaicho Radio. So we are going to run straight from this program into that. However, let me tell you at the moment, while that is happening, in a few moments, or if it's not already happened, a man has been charged and is due or has appeared in court, in the magistrate court in Georgetown here, for threatening the GCOM chair, Justice retired Claudette Singh. Talked about burning down and so on. It was a Linden, I think it is, that I was told. Good day to you, Linden. You guys are a wonderful set of people. If one bad egg cannot spoil the entire barrel, we know that you guys are wonderful. This man was one of them that came onto our program here that we ended up blocking. He threatened a couple of our persons that were here. He was extremely disrespectful to the women, and so he ended up getting blocked. And that was he was using a name that was very respectful of the Muslim community. And I think you remember that case. We spoke about it so many times. But while we were also talking about that, the cases, the COVID-19 cases, every day we got to keep reminding our people. We seem not to be paying attention. We've been asking you over the weekend. We even saw some photograph that surface of a vehicle that is attached to the Commissioner of Police office, SUV, that was parked in the late night in front of a club, an adults entertainment club. And there's questions, what are we doing? Because the clubs are supposed to be closed. But it is on these bank, and there's been no statements coming from the police, but people have taken a picture and they've sent it into social media, and it has been making its rounds. But all across the land, there were reports of people just going Wild West in terms of partying, of doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. In the meantime, Guyana has recorded, confirmed 336 cases, 19 deaths. The number of deaths keep going up, whether it may slowly, whatever it is. At the end of the day, when we lose one person, that's one too many. So 163 cases would have recovered. The U.S. continued to lead with 3.83 million persons confirmed, with 143,000 deaths so far. Brazil is inching up very surely, and if they continue on this path, if we go into COVID next year, which everybody's saying that it is, the experts that is, Brazil is going to overtake. Brazil stands at 2.1 million now. There's over 2 million cases with 1.37 million recovered, and they have almost more than 80,000 deaths at the moment. And so that's right next door to us. We would have seen a case not too long of somebody trying to smuggle garlic from Guyana over there. While it might sound funny, the fact is our borders have remained open. Over the weekend, we would have learned to Yog that 21 villages in South Rupununi would have been closed because they have a number of cases, and that is because the borders with Brazil, it's 1,000 miles. It has remained largely not monitored. We don't have the personnel, and it's very difficult. People in the dead of the night would be sneaking across. So very quickly, we go to the front page of Kaicho News. Let's say Sunday. We look at the headlines. Construction of Luziknan heliport commences, but now residents being consulted. So somebody have gotten a piece of land. It's a reserves. It's next to the seawall. You could see in the background from the photos that would have come from this story here. House lots next door, people living next door, and so they want to put a heliport where they would have landed helicopters, and so I'm not sure how that works. If you stood at the Ogle Airport and listened to those big Bell helicopters and so on landing, it's not easy. So if you have a house here and there's a heliport next door, lots of questions being asked here. These people start building without the necessary consultations being done, because based on the story, Yog, CHMPA has now sending out questionnaires to residents in the area. How is this thing affecting you? So the people start building, I think it's already framed, and so it's there. People don't get the land, and now you're asking the residents. I think something is wrong here, and I take the eyes and pass the people of Guyana. Emergency Maikoni Sea Defense Project moving at snail pace. So since last year, there was a flooding up in Maikoni, major flooding, damaged rice lands, acres and acres of that, especially in the Danzig area, High Dam. And so what would have happened here, there was an emergency project being given out to, I think, a big contract, BK, and then there were questions over one figure and then another figure. He got for 200-something million, and then it ended up that the actual contract that he received was 300-something million, 352 million. How did that happen? He got an additional. So the reporters were up there, and then it seemed to be some questions as to whether this is true or not. So that's a developing story. The big one here is Exxon's player in Exxon, because of the poor contract we've got. Guyana, they've gotten from Exxon. They're flaring more gas now, toxic gas, and there's very little that Guyana could do with regards to it because of the poor contract our leaders have signed. Ramjatan, coalition hands clear of interference in GCOM. Yog, you're silent. You're very silent, Yog. Ramjatan, coalition hands clear of interference in GCOM despite 3 court cases brought by supporters to block declarations. Guyana request for World Bank COVID-19 funding languishes for 4 months. So why are we asking for these people if you can't get it? Why languishes? Public infrastructure, GPL refused to release contracts on $352 million sea defense, $587 million bucket trucks. So public infrastructure and GPL, they don't care. If you ask them, they're not bound to provide any information to the people of Guyana, because the GPL has been operating as if it's like GT&T have been operating like they don't have any kind of accountability to the people of Guyana. It's a new week now, so we could be very rude to them because we understand very clearly of our rights as the people of Guyana. That's Gildarie saying that. Guyana witnessed the most alarming instances, just today's newspaper, July 20th. Guyana witnessed the most alarming instances of squandermania on the Granger's administration. The financial analysts are saying that. And this is important. The main headline: OS Permanent Secretary could authorize all member states to sanction Guyana. and decision would be binding for CARICOM states. So we are going to have a discussion on that. So Ron Sanders, who was the one who would have pointed this out, he's a regional recognized person who understands the situation like the back of his hand. He's been paying very close attention, and he's alarmed based on what he's saying over this situation, which has been festering. There seems to be people not taking, at least from the coalition side, this threat of sanctions. Well, it's not a threat anymore. It's real. A couple of them with the visas of senior coalition officials, including the president and others, have been yanked. At least that is based on information coming out from the U.S. Embassy and from the U.S. State Department. While they have not named the persons, based on our sources, we are getting some confirmation. So Guyana likely to see case being backlogged due to insufficient judges, prosecutors. We have to pay attention to the courts, because when there's justice delayed, justice denied, lots of things could happen. Cases disappeared, magistrate courts set a fire, all kinds of things happen. We have reported that. Sarah has none to show after spending over $600 million in 3 years. Yog, I would like to hear you talk about this. $600 million, what were you doing? Ram says agency as a complete and has been a complete and expensive failure. Something is wrong here. Why did we put so much money into it? We need that $600 million now to feed some of our people who've been complaining, who've been crying about not having anything to eat because they've lost their jobs. Illegitimacy sanctions attract corrupt business partners in oil sector. This transparency advocates. So that is it. So I am going to hand it right over to Dr. Yog Mahadeo. Doc, before I move on, I must tell you that over the weekend I've been receiving a lot of calls. We have some decent businessmen like the Biharis, Mr. Paul Chung, a good day to you, sir. And of course, Mr. Roy Bipat, he has offered to do some help. I'm sorry to call you out like this, but thank you very much for coming on and hearing our pleas that there's some critical families in terms of needs. So thank you very much, dear. And then, of course, a lot of overseas people would have asked us how they could help our listeners, our viewers. Thank you very much for that. At the due time, we would, based on your permission, of course, we could talk a little bit who would have chipped in. But this is something that we've seen the need, and maybe Yog, we'd have to talk a little about the modalities, how we could probably help. It is too much. We cannot allow this situation to continue. People crying, and maybe we could help a little. Over to you, Yog.
Thank you, Leonard. And again, good afternoon and good day to one and all. It is a new week, and we have to look forward to the court decision this afternoon. Leonard, I'll tell you something. What is amazing is that we have spent the last 20 weeks, almost 140 days. And it's like you're walking at 100 miles per hour on a treadmill. You're going nowhere, but exhausting yourself, exhausting the nation, exhausting everybody in this country. It's untenable that this can anymore be allowed to continue. What has to happen, Leonard, is I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get right into this election thing first, because this is, of course, key to everything. Mm-hmm. Every single thing that will happen here on is hinged to the election, the pathetic electioneering that has happened. And Leonard, I know you may not like this, but ladies and gentlemen, I want to make a public appeal. I want to make a public appeal to Mr. Steve Surjbali and to Mr. Joe Singh. Gentlemen, as former chairman of GCOM, I need you to come on air and say whether Mr. Keith Lowenfield is acting in a way that you, as former chairman of GCOM, would have envisaged, would have allowed, would have countenanced. Leonard, the former chairman of GCOM, I know they may not want to speak, and I will not ask them to speak on judging how the chairman is performing. Every chairman has his or her own way. But I want Mr. Surjbali and I want Mr. Singh to come out publicly and either endorse, because your silence is an endorsement, or criticize what Lowenfield and what the Secretariat is doing to this country. Mr. Surjbali and Mr. Singh, they were not paid by their own pockets. They were paid by the state. They were paid by the people of this country to be chairman, respective chairman of GCOM. So I want to start there today because I find it disheartening that big people, big men and women in this country still continues to be deaf and dumb and silent when our children, when the nation is being raped by a handful of pathetic politicians who just want power. So, Leonard, it is untenable, and I find it increasingly unacceptable that people who have been paid by the state, paid to do jobs, were given the mandate to look after certain things in this country, cannot speak out for what I don't know. I don't need you to talk about the chairman. I need you to talk about the secretariat. A lot of these people were there when you were there. So that's one. Two, there is another issue that we need to quickly address. In 1985, I want to say this to viewers and listeners because our history is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, the Human Rights Watch Group, this is the International Human Rights Watch Group, in 1985 said, we are obliged to conclude on the basis of abundant and clear evidence that the election was rigged massively and flagrantly. This is the 1980 elections. 1985, the same Human Rights Watch organization said widespread disenfranchisement, multiple voting, ejection of polling agents, threats, intimidation, violence, collusion by police and army personnel. 1985, collusion by police and army personnel. Leonard, I am not scared. I will continue to speak out. But what is happening here is that the police has been extremely quiet and one-sided since election day to now. We have all seen, this country has seen that the diplomatic corps has met with the army, yet everybody is concerned in this country. There continues to be electoral problems in this country today. And guess by whose platitudes, by whose donation, by whose goodwill? Has always been the PNC, and I'll call it how I see it. It is the PNC. And even though the PNC is just a part of APNU AFC, they have overtaken it like a cancer, spreading across APNU AFC, eating away all the goodness that ought to have existed in any of the parties there. And today I also want to say, if Mr. CN Sharma has any good in him, then the Justice for All party need to divorce itself from APNU AFC as a party, because that's not the justice that you, Mr. CN Sharma, was on television all these years fighting for the people of this country. It is time people divorce themselves and leave this wretched set of people to their miseries, a small handful of people. You know, Leonard, it is increasingly irritating that we can be in a country that is allowing this thing to happen. Today you have who you said on the newspaper said that the APNU AFC is not interfering. It is interference. Look, let me tell you this. It is interference of one kind or another. It is blatant interference. It is in your face interference with the court, Leonard. They cannot hide from this. It is interference to the highest extreme. Look, viewers and listeners, listen to me. You know what the CCJ said? The CCJ 3 weeks ago, said, unless and until an election court decides otherwise, the votes already counted by the recount process as valid votes are incapable of being declared invalid by any person or authority. Leonard, ladies and gentlemen, you all hear what I just read? The CCJ, the highest court, said that unless and until an election court takes place after declaration, unless and until an election court decides otherwise. The votes already counted by the recount process as valid votes are incapable of being declared invalid, incapable of being declared invalid by any individual, any person, or any authority. Leonard, why are we in court today? Can somebody phone up the court and read this to them? Because there is no jurisdiction, Leonard. There is no jurisdiction. All of this that is happening is over and over to delay the process. Can Nagamoto say where he went to look after his health? The same country he's cursing out today. Did he go to public hospital, Georgian, that you and I have to go to? Did he join any line anywhere to get his health thing, or Mr. Ramjatan or David Granger, when he need to get his health looked after? Did he go to the same center where our brothers and sisters have to go to get treatment? No, they jump on a plane and they fly overseas. But the conditions they're leaving here for people are terrible. And Leonard, in final analysis, I'm going to say this. You mentioned something. One apple must not be allowed to spoil the barrel. Well, it is the barrel that has to throw the one apple out. Or else, if you keep that apple there, it is going to spoil everything. And the good people, there are some very good people within the PNC, the very good people in the PNC. You need to speak out, because these bad apples, well, I don't call them apples, they're just criminals. These criminals are spoiling their good name, spoiling everything that your party stood for. They have put Burnham to shame, imagine that. And now what? We have a group of them going every night to light candles to call it Burnham. Here, Leonard, you know what is happening here? Let me tell you something, my friend. These are the people that said that the dead voted for the PPP. And what they're doing now, calling on the dead to rise? For what? This is the shameless nature we are at presently. And you know that the guy that name you call, that is in the court today, there was another guy. Imagine the shamelessness of these people. Human laws cannot matter anymore. They're now going and they're doing. I saw one of them over the weekend with the Chief Justice's photographs and doing all kinds of unspeakable, horrible things. You know, wow. It's like, let me tell you something. And Miss Odinga Patrice, if you have nothing to say, get off this show, because we don't need thieves like you here. Leonard, let me tell you something. When a child, any child, you and I, Leonard, we were children, we wrote exams. When you were children and you did not study for an exam, and you know you didn't study for the exam, when you meet in the exam, what happened? You start beg God for all kind of miracles, right? Well, here it is. They did not prepare for the elections. They lost the local government elections. They spent 5 years thieving for themselves only, stealing, murdering this nation, devastation all across our finances, everything. And now you're going to pray for somebody, some spirit to come somewhere and change the Chief Justice's mind or change Madam Claudette Singh's mind. That, Leonard, is where we are today. It sounds laughable, but you know what? It is a sad state of affairs. That now you fail to win an election and you are now going to pray for the deliverance of some miracle that the Chief Justice or the Chairman of the Elections Commission must ignore what is right, close their eyes to what God is leading them to do, and put it to you where Shaitan is calling, you're calling on Shaitan to come and deliver these elections. Leonard, I'm sorry I'm a little emotional, but this thing is going on too long, and I tell you why I'm emotional. Because your children and my children are looking at what's going on, and it will affect their adult life.
And you're right, Yog. There's, you could look at it, and we could say many. Before we get in, and I'm really, really upset too. Yesterday I saw some things. I was at a particular place. I decided to take a break, took the kids out, and they wanted to use the pool, and we ended up by a place I didn't even know that it was that beautiful. But I must tell you, Clifton Backus of Sleeping has done a wonderful job on short tree there. And he saw me, and the gentleman, a good day to you, sir. He took me over to the casino side, and it's amazing, it's shameful what is happening there. An entire building has been locked down because he is invested in a hotel and hasn't been given a license. Regardless, we know the story behind Sleeping and what would have happened there. But imagine that you would not want to make a move that would allow 300 to 500 persons, according to Mr. Backus, that would have gotten a job. But if you go there by the poolside area there, Yog, it's such a beautiful, peaceful place that you wonder if this is another world that is in Guyana. And these are little things that we have that we are offering that would have suffered because there's no vision. We would have lost it, and because Yog looks a little different, or maybe he's not of the same political persuasion as I am, that I would have stifled him, and so in so doing, you would have seen an upliftment in this Region 4 area. That's one of the many stories that you see coming out. But there's another story that came out this weekend too. And when you talk about passion, and I see the passion in you there, I can understand because it gets me angry. So the president's son-in-law, I think Mr. Gaskin, Dominic Gaskin, came out with a statement. One of his 3 or 4 that would have come out so far. Many persons would have said, why now and this and that. But at the end of the day, he has come out. He's one of the few who has really come out, and so very close. He is the president's son-in-law. At the end of the day, he was a former business minister, somebody who was sitting in the cabinet and so would have been part of the decision-making process. Guess what? They went after the man. Somebody even went and says how the man, and I shouldn't be really saying this, but let me tell you how ridiculous it is. I have to, we commentators. They said that the man is separated from the wife and that's why he is bitter. And the man, wife, come on, there's a president daughter and says, excuse me? So there you have it. They're actually going and attack the family now of the president just to make sure that this thing goes through. You understand that? You understand what I'm saying? You understand the culture that we have developed here now? I told Glenn... Yes,
Leonard,
sir.
let me tell you something. Look at Jermaine Durant. Look at Jermaine Durant post, right? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what is the sick of this current government. Let's highlight Jermaine. Jermaine, you want to be famous? I'll make you famous today. Because it is people like you that makes Guyana look bad all over the world. You know what Jermaine Durant has written, ladies and gentlemen? He is saying that we have a racist passion for not being able to push coke and contraband.
Wow.
Mr. Jermaine Durant, yes.
Wow.
He is accusing us. Mr. Jermaine Durant, if you don't know anything, you should keep your ignorance and swallow it and probably choke with it, because I'll tell you something. It is your people there that are holding on power for the same contraband. And you tell me, Jermaine, where all those vehicles? Where all those vehicles? Want of entry vehicles? Tell me where they are. Let's talk contraband. Let's talk about the illegal alcohol. Let's talk about the drug ban. You want to talk about it? Let's talk. Come, Jermaine, post as you're sharing stuff. Share the proof. Send it in, my friend. Send it in, and like how I'm making you famous here now, I'll make all your comments famous. Let us go. Send it, Jermaine. Who is it doing coke and contraband? Is it Glenn Lau? Is it Leonard Gildarie? Is it me? Because you were embracing us when we were criticizing the PPP. So, sir, you are the prime example of what is wrong in this country. You have shown your racist self here. And if you cannot listen and understand what is truth, we know. Miyamoto said it right, Jermaine. The truth hurts. Be gone. Go and live in your own misery. Don't share it. You can share happiness. Don't share your miseries.
And you could put your face on there too, because it's good.
Yes.
If you want to fight, put up your face and fight. We're not hiding. We are out in the open. And you want to take Glenn number? His number is 624-6456. There you have it. Leonard Gildarie is putting it there. You could call him and you could tell him what you feel about the newspaper. You could tell him what you feel about the radio. You could tell him what you feel about the people of Guyana. Thousands who logging in, who wants a better Guyana. All they're asking for is for the rule of law. We want this thing to be over with and done. But no, we want to continue the same road. And Yog, I must take this opportunity to remind those who have been calling for the boycott of the radio and the kite show news, it is okay. You could go ahead and do it. Don't buy the newspaper. Mr. Lala said that. Why? Because in 2015, it was okay for us to investigate the PPP. 2020, the other side, the shoes is on the other foot. It's not okay. But we are going to continue to do what our mandate is. That is report to the people as the news. We don't fight it up, and we don't take that news and we don't give it a government subsidy like what you do to the Guyana rag, or we don't hang our mouth where the soup is leaking. Very simple as that.
Correct. And you know why I called him out, Leonard? There are about 2 or 3 of them here. They have nothing to add to a discourse. They're the example of how the truth hurts. And the reason I call them out is because if people like them go and spew their hate all over social media, spew their hate all over our pages, you know what? These, German, you represent what is wrong with a society, why a society cannot move ahead, because you're only about hate.
Is he a real person, or is it's a fake account?
Well, I don't know, and I refuse to let German or anybody like a German. You're right, it's a germ. I refuse to let a germ.
They need to put the face, and they need to comment so we could be able to put a face to these people here, so we could understand them, what they have done to this country.
Correct.
I told Glenn over the weekend, let me stop you there.
Yes, sure.
I was very, very upset over the weekend. Saturday it was, and I told Glenn Saturday evening that if there's one thing that has really, really upset me during this election period, is the division, the deep division that the politicians, and I'm saying politicians because you know who you are. Maybe Yog is going to go a little more different from me. But let me tell you this. The Guyanese people should be taking note right now and pay attention to the deep division that a couple of people, including from the CNN and from the others who've been sitting there, and even abroad on wherever it is in the little basement. I saw Anna Landal did it and called it out today. But wherever you're sitting and you're sowing the deep division, I'm still living next door to my neighbor. I still give them a little of what I have in my kitchen, and they still share whatever they're cooking in their kitchen, because we have a love for each other. It's not all Guyanans like that. We have love in ourselves, and a couple of you, what you're doing is unforgivable in Guyana. We should be taking note. We should be placing your pictures all over so the people could know who you are. Don't hide behind a fake face or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, it does not make sense. 2 people are listening to you. The rest of the people, they're smart, and they're able to make the right decision when it comes to what is what is good, what is right for this country.
Right. And Leonard, as long I have to laugh because one of our viewers, Karen Smith, you said it right. Is he a real person, Jumbie? Don't have any faces. So that's a good one. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you something. What Leonard said is absolutely true, and this is not praising or criticizing anyone. Look, I can tell you, our teams have gone out. They have shared out some help. And let me use this opportunity. Alicia, if you're listening, thank you and thank your mom. Sister Jean, thank you and thank your mom. All of you who have contributed in one way or another, thank you and thank your parents and your siblings. But Leonard, ladies and gentlemen, when we go out to give some help, nobody watches who you're helping. When my team goes out to help, they don't go out there and say, I come from Mr. Yog Mahadeo, who is an Indo-Guyanese or an Afro-Guyanese. They go out there and they share help regardless of who it is. Ladies and gentlemen, when you go, you know what happened? I don't know why when these politicians, Leonard, when I don't want to call his name, but when the man who thinks he's going to be a dictator, when he goes overseas, why he don't carry his own operating surgeon, or why he don't carry his own people with him? Why you trust other people all of a sudden of different races, different ethnicities? If ethnicity so much matter to you, sir, why do you trust others? To those whom ethnicity matters so much, why would you go and allow a doctor of another ethnicity to treat you or take blood transfusion from somebody else? And you know what? If you're drinking an aspirin or you're drinking any painkiller, you have a headache and you're drinking painkiller, you don't know where is the ethnicity of the person that made it. If you're using some illegal stuff, you don't know the ethnicity of the person that probably reap it and put it together and give it to you. So why use anything? You should only use what you could put together yourself, or things like that. Because Leonard, the argument gets irrational, illogical to people who just want to push this notion about ethnicity and this notion about one-sidedness. And ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, it is those who point to ethnic divisions, they are the ones that has an ethnic problem.
Yes, it is. And like I would repeat once again, Yog, it's a couple of people who have done this disgraceful thing, this shameful thing, and we can't forgive them. We can't forgive them for that, for what they've done to our people. And I've said it and will say it again. When we sit down at the Domino's table or we sit in a bar and we having our drinks, we're not there as Indian and blacks and mix and Douglas or whatever. At the end of the day, we all Guyanese people. And what they're doing, what they've been doing over this last couple months, we cannot forgive them for that. We cannot forget. We cannot forget their faces either. So don't hide behind a profile and say who thief and who does that. So come on and say that in our face. Be a man.
Right.
Be a man.
And Leonard, I'll tell you this much. Let's come down to the real political talk now. I would like to challenge Mr. Justice for All Party. Wherever you think you get those votes from for your one seat, go today to that village, to that community, and let them garland you, sir. Mr. Kemrad Ramjatan and Moses, go to Wim. Let us see how much hundreds and thousands of people are going to give you love, sir, for all you are doing for this country, if it is that good. If all of you doing all of that is so good, come out. Go sit with the villagers. Pull up your sleeves. Move out. Come out of your fancy vehicles and go sit with the villagers that are struggling. And listen to their cry and let them tell you if what you are doing is right or wrong. Because, Leonard, these politicians stop listening to the people who have entrusted them with power. The same people who entrust them with power 5 years ago had decided that they are not worth it this round. Get out of office. Go and try again in 2025. But no, they decide they want to become a dictatorship. Power at all costs. And Leonard, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, one mantra I know, non-cooperation with evil is a sacred duty. And any dictatorship that is not, any dictatorship full stop, should not and will never be tolerated, and non-cooperation with such evil will be our sacred duty in this country. Leonard, it is time we start reminding the politicians, you can steal the power you want, but at the end of the day, it's the people of this country. What his name said it right. We will not bend. We will not bow to a dictator. I bow to one God, no man. And I'm not going to bow to a dictator, neither will the people of this country, Leonard.
Thank you for that, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. Elections, COVID-19 watch here on Kaicho Radio 99.1, 99.5. Thank you for tuning in with us, not only on the actual radio itself, but on the Facebook, on YouTube. A good day to you, wherever you join us from, Canada, New York, right across this beautiful country of ours. Thank you. So, Yog, there's something that somebody says. There's a couple of them who've been standing, talking, with whatever forum that they're using. I think when last week we would have had room 592 with Miss Deborah Mazier as well as Mr. Douglas Mears, and they would have made it very clear. It doesn't matter if you're hiding in somewhere, even if you're in the U.S. and you're sitting there, you cannot escape the law of the U.S. And if you've been receiving monies and whatever you've been benefiting from, to spew, to divide our people, we are going to find it. And there is news that a couple of them who's been spewing right in Guyana have created companies. You want to hear us? it is something on investigation right now. And I could probably say it, and Glenn is going to get upset, but let's say it. A couple of them have created companies and benefiting from drug contracts up in Berbice, using the regions and so on. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Some of them ended up buying SUVs. How stupid could you be? That is something that is a very cavalier. That's something that I'm not sure how to describe that. You would take your money that you just get, and instead of stashing it up somewhere, you take it and you go and buy a SUV. So that is the stupidity of some of them. So we could talk a little bit that. So when you come here and you open your mouth like the Germans and so on, we could start fighting fire with fire, because these are things. But our country, we have decent people here. We have people who are mindful of where they want this country to go, and it's definitely should not be something that is unlawful, that is illegal. And so why are we stepping it up a little? The people have been complaining day after day, we're not getting anything to eat, that we have lost our jobs, nobody's paying attention. Imagine, you know what is so shameful, Yog, that a man who is visually impaired, that can't see properly, that has been receiving public assistance, would have heeded the call of a Ministry of Social Protection and the CDC, applied for that help, and can't get the help. Out of anybody who should be vulnerable, it's a visually impaired person. He's going to get help. I think there's a PPP group or a couple of them who would have come together, and they're going to help the gentleman. But these are the stories that are coming out, that you would see a rising and awareness in the people right now, and they want to get this over and done with as fast as possible. Guess what? Let's look at reality now. We talked a lot today this, because this thing is getting unbearable, Yog. It's getting frustrating, because we who are sitting here would have been in contact with the people. People have been reaching out to us day after day. My phone has been ringing nonstop, and it's the same thing for you at Kaicho News. They call us through the lines and they say, look, son, I've been going through this. Can you help? I'm a pensioner. I'm a 70-year-old mother. I'm a 70-year-old sister, and I can't even pay my light bill. I don't know where I'm going to pay my mortgage. Somebody who's working taxi, one of my friends, when are you going to get hampered? This is somebody who is in a starter's got 2 kids. These are the stories that are coming out. But Yog, there's this story here.
It gets worse than that. Look, it gets worse than that. The illegal ministers of an illegal squatter government, Granger is the squatter in chief. The illegal ministers, all of them, what they're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, they have maids, they have gardeners. Now, I have nothing against their employees, but I want to share with you how they're living, compare it with how you are living at this stage. They have all of this. They drive their fancy vehicles. They pull into a gas station, collect, buy, purchase how much gas they want. Now, how are you moving? How are you living? So there's a stark difference between the haves and the have-nots. And the haves at this stage is one small group of riggers that wants to stay in power at all costs. So much so, they're going to the court to ask the court that, listen, Madam Chief Justice, we know we stole, but nobody can stop us from stealing, and neither can you. So we need everybody to accept that this stealing is the legal thing. Now, Leonard, tell me what would be the moral ground of a country that will have David Granger as a president out of such farcical election processing, such farcical rigging that is being done by the PNC. What are we going to tell our sons and daughters? Ladies and gentlemen, in addition, guess who fully owns GPL? It's the government of Guyana. Have they even given us 10%, 15%, 50% off on electricity bills? Do they care even that you are not working? Ladies and gentlemen, the telephone companies, have they offered all of these years, all the promotions, have they offered you anything that you are at home? Not a single thing. Nothing substantial has been done. The stuff that the CDC is supposed to be sharing out millions of dollars were donated by foreign agencies to the CDC to share out food around this country. And I want to write to the American Embassy, Leonard, and ask them, you donated this money to the CDC. Let them give you a list of what locations they shared this stuff out. Because, Leonard, it's reckoning time. We are seeing that the state and the state apparatus is only for the benefit of a few. I want to know the 10,000 vouchers that were printed by the Education Ministry. I want to know what schools received it. Who really received those vouchers? What was that, about $30-something million, Leonard? These are the days of reckoning that we have to come to. Because every time you and I talk, people are going to say, well, what did the PPP do? So it means if the PPP did bad, you want to beat them at it. You want to be even worse than them. And guess what? You're proud of it. You are so proud of it. This is a sad state, Leonard. Where is the electricity reduction that this country should have had under this COVID-19 time? Where is, look, the PNC ministers, the PNC people, them, all these squatters, what did they 3 weeks ago? They went around this country with their hailers, talking about all kinds of nonsense. What happened? By the way, what happened to the numbers they were trying to force people to accept 3 weeks ago? They forget about that now. They didn't even carry out one set of hampers. Not any sweets even for the children. You remember, ladies and gentlemen, what they did before elections? They were sharing out concert tickets. Today, not even sweets for the children. Nothing, Leonard. And that nothingness represents a set of politicians with nothing that they can offer Guyanese, but they want power still.
Yes, Yog, and thank you very much for that. And I must tell you, while you're talking there, people are texting and they want to come on and they want to help some of the less fortunates. And we know that we might not be able to reach everybody who's been reaching out to us, but we will continue to work, Yog and myself, Yog's Foundation, the Guyana Pride Foundation, which is our foundation that we have here, Kaicho Radio, Kaicho News. We're going to continue as a people to do what we can. But I want to appeal, and I think this is on behalf of myself and you and the rest of the crew here. You're living in a community, and they say charity begins right at home. Start paying attention to your neighbor, to the little kid that's living around the corner. There's a lot of suffering. Every pocket, every community, they have them. Wherever you live in, start paying attention. Even if it's something, if it's a plate of food, whatever you can do a little, let us do it. Let us start paying attention. Let us start doing our own little thing. Because don't wait until a Bihari or a Bipat or somebody step up to the plate, or the Guyana Pride Foundation and Yog's Foundation, Mahadeo's Foundation, and so on. Let us start doing in our own little way. We have some food. Whatever we can, let us do a little in our community. Let's start right within the community. So let us start across the country wave right now. Do not wait until tomorrow. People are starving today. People are really don't have money. As I'm reading here right now, Yog, people are saying that GT&T, while this is happening, GT&T start cutting off people telephone bills because they're not paying. The 4 months has already been completed, and so banks are going to be demanding payments.
Yeah, that's one of the things as a country we got to consider, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the things. We are divided as a people. We are divided, and we're thinking something would not happen to me. It's only happening to the person next door or the person in the next village. But you know what? When it's going to affect us all, it's affecting us all. And the day may soon come. The day may very, very soon come when we'll all have to decide. Because if none of us are going to pay that bill, let them cut off everybody. But we are so divided between who wants to keep Granger in power so that they could continue to abuse state resources, and who don't want to keep Granger in power. So we are not seeing that as a country, we are being jabbed and kicked and tussled by many other companies that are just parasites on our backs at this stage, Leonard.
And
You check
parasite
some
is
of
the
these
right word. Parasite is
yes,
the right word.
check some of these companies. Leonard, let's talk. Look the water company. Look at the water company and let's discuss, because there is a time that we got to expose a lot more things than have been exposed. And I just want to tell these people that the stuff you think is in hiding, it is very well known to the public. Leonard, Kaicho News has been exposing a lot of them, a lot of contracts, a lot of chemicals, a lot of gas, illegal gas, a lot of land, a lot of things has been happening. And you know what? You and me have left it to Kaicho News. We have not been talking about it. The day is soon coming when we'll have to have open discussion about it. Because if I could have sat down and written tons of articles and written petitions to our leaders in 2014 and 2013 that what the PPP did was wrong, then it's worse now, and it is my God-given duty to stop what is happening. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that we are not going to bend to dictatorship. We are not going to bend. Non-cooperation with evil is a sacred duty. And Mr. Rigger, you want to steal power. We did not vote you to stay in power. We would have voted for you again next time, and who knows, you can get up, get out, and try again. And you can earn our favor again. So that's one. And two, to all those who want to do all kind of worship, to bring on any kind of ghost, I say to you, bring your zombies, bring your ghosts. My God is a great God, and justice, God's justice is going to prevail. And I know hundreds of thousands of us pray it as well, and we pray for the health of the CG, and we pray for the health of our chairman, and we also pray for the health of the president and everybody else. So bring it. You do your worship how you know. We're going to do our worship how we know. But one thing I know, Leonard, the world has shown. I read that thing from the Human Rights Watch. They rigged all those years. 1980 was one of the worst ones. 1985 was even worse. Then 1990, they couldn't hold elections. They demanded 2 years more. Ladies and gentlemen, the PNC earned 2 extra years in office in 1990. The elections was pushed back to 1992. But no matter what, you can run, you cannot hide. Our God is a great God. You can run, you cannot hide. Our people are a great people. We are a great nation, and we will vote you out. Non-cooperation with evil is our sacred duty, and I'm going to say it every day from now on, Leonard, until they get it.
Yog, and two things before we come to this elections, the election case this afternoon. I can't understand for the life of me. There's so many mechanisms that could be, that these companies could come up with to ease the suffering. Let's look at the state-owned companies. GWI and GPL, two state-owned companies. They're not supposed to be in a profit-making mode right now. It has to be human. It has to take a human angle right now when it comes to how to deal with this pandemic. And if you're thinking, if you're visionary, and you have something, you don't have a lot of money in the kitty jar, you're going to have to start looking. And I can't understand all these directors and these persons that are sitting on the different boards and in the management of GWI and GPL. Why can't you come up with something that is either going to delay payments, get the government to give a delayed subsidy or something when they get the money into the company, maybe some other forms that is going to be passed on to the people that would allow them not to place money into GPL at the moment in terms of payments, but could make them put that money, if they have it, because there's another story by itself, into food or something that is more essential. But you don't have two companies not saying anything. You don't have the Bank of Ghana not saying anything. Nobody's saying anything to the people. We come to the telephone companies who are here. And I know They've probably, I understand that they've yanked their ads to Kaicho News because we see that they put it elsewhere. But GT&T, among other places, what you've done to this country in terms of your the feelings, the way that you've treated the people in terms of the crappy service that you have given to the people of Guyana. It's not something that we could forgive and forget very easily. When people call you every single day, I saw a notice come out this morning that they are now putting in something that is going to allow you to easily go online and tell them if you have an outage. I want to know if you have no internet, how are you going to go online? And if you could barely afford food, how are you going to go online? I mean, these are things that really baffles me. The word baffle came about a couple of weeks back, made it into the forefront. But it boggles the mind to think that these companies can come up with something, or from, if you're a human being, if you're the management of Guyanese and you're living here and you're seeing what is happening, can't you do something from your social corporate responsibility side, which you say that you're supposed to have instead of giving out $1 million? The hundreds of millions of dollars that you're taking out via America Street and whatever you're doing. You could do something for the people of Guyana. We're appealing to you, not for us, but for the people who are suffering. What is wrong?
Right.
How it is that you're not thinking, and where's the government to not come in and let us talk about measures? Let us talk about innovative measures, Yog. Why are we not talking about this?
That's right. And Leonard, as you mentioned GPL, I just want to go back there quickly. And you know, I would need your help. You're the senior journalist here. The persons who sit in the board of directors of any one of these public or autonomous corporations are public figures. I would like to know who are the board members. I would like to know who are the board members of the Guyana RAG. I would like to know who are presently earning Guyanese taxpayers' money as well. Board members of the NCN, board members of GPL. I want to know, and I want to know how much stipend they're getting. I want to know what benefits they're getting. I want to know what we are actually paying them for. And Leonard, you know what else is irksome at this stage? They recently approved to buy some trucks, right?
I was about to raise that issue there. But you could be able, you're spending money in big time. We don't need those trucks at the moment, not in a very hurry way. This is something that we're not even sure. They said that they advertised, then it went very quiet. How do you buy a truck for 63 million and 83 million? What nonsense are you telling the people? And I have friends sitting on the board. I think I'd have to part company with being friends with them. Stop maybe having a drink with them sometime, because this is absolute nonsense, Yog, where we don't need people like that who run in our state boards to be making decisions where you have a six. Who buys a truck for cherry pick a truck for $63 million and try to justify it?
No,
and they bought eight of that they bought.
Correct. And also, Leonard, the timing. Is this the best timing? A board is all about strategic thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Strategic thinking. So in your strategic thinking, this is the best time to spend so much money. I want to know who are the persons in, what they call them, Sarah or whatever it's called. I want to know these people, and I would like to know who are my Guyanese brothers and sisters, who at this moment, when children across this country cannot get food to eat, are sitting in their cushy jobs, earning their revenues, earning their stipends, earning their tax-free dollars, earning their vehicles and their duty-free concessions and their free fuel, and while the rest of us has to starve. This is what defines how we move ahead as a society. And ladies and gentlemen, you know why I want to know this? Because a new government will come in place very soon. Granger can run and delay and bring every one of his ghosts and every one of his people to create new court cases for him, but it will come to an end one day. So sooner or later, there will be a change in government, ladies and gentlemen, and we got to ensure that that new government must never be allowed to do this kind of thing, that these rigors and the rape of Guyana's fortune has done to us. So ladies and gentlemen, this is why I'm so passionate about it, because if you allow this thing to be, it's like you were saying it's okay. It is not okay now. It never was okay, and it will never be okay. We got to stand up. And people, of this country. It is up to you and I to put a stop to it. Do you think police brutality is going to stop, or extrajudicial killing is going to stop by us shutting our eyes on one set of people doing it? It will never stop. Those who are calling out extrajudicial killing in the past needs to relook at the Room 592 we had with Selwyn Peters. It didn't stop, ladies and gentlemen. It continued. But shame on you if you're blind to see it, because suddenly you're race conscious about who is the president and what is his race. And that makes you a racist. If you're silent in the face of criminality, it makes you a criminal. And Leonard, all those people, all of those, I wish to repeat, Mr. Steve Sursbally, sir, Mr. Joe Singh, sir, I don't want you to comment to me about Claudette Singh. Leave the chairman, she will do her job. But I need you to come out to the people of this country. You are paid by the people of this country to be chairman of GCOM. You need to come out and speak out whether the secretariat is doing what is right or whether it is wrong. Speak now. Don't hold your peace and write some book later. Now is the time to speak. Now is the time to expose them, because they were there since you were there. We saw Chief Lowenfield sitting next to you, Mr. Sursbally. You need to speak out. Is this the man that you cultured? Is this what is happening now? So, Leonard, I just want to call them out. I want to call out CN Sharma once again. If you disagree with the PNC's stealing of these elections, and you said in a public statement that they must swear in Ali, well, you need to divorce yourself from APNU AFC and be gone. Come out of it, or else you are part of it. And Leonard, all those board members for all the state entities, if you are a board member of a state entity, I don't want to hear about fiduciary duty. It is now a national duty to either take the side with deceit and criminality, or speak up and let your children and future generation be free, Leonard.
Thank you very much. I want to address two issues right now. A gentleman not too long ago raised the issue of Kaichor News with regards to David Hines and Lincoln Lewis. Lincoln Lewis is a union leader, and David Hines, both of them have they have columns in the Kaichor News. I should really ask you to call Glenn Lal, but I'm going to tell you what it is. They are objecting, or there were objections to these people being in Kaichor News and having a column there. Glenn Lal would have taken the decision as publisher when Chronicle, controlled by the state, would have ejected. This is a Chronicle board, I think, headed or overseen by a minister called Moses Nagamutu, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, who's in charge of the media, the state media in Guyana. After they were ejected by the Chronicle, Glenn says, these guys, they're intellectuals, or they've been writing, and Kaichor News being what it is, it has a mandate to the people. He invited them to come on board to write. The same people who would have been ejected by the board, they are writing, but that is their right to write however they want to write. We cannot eject them, but however, if you want to know Glenn's thinking as to why he's keeping the David Hines and Lincoln Lewis, and we would have invited the People's Progressive Party, the Alliance for Change, the PNCR, and the other parties to also have columns in the Kaichor News on Sunday. I think Alliance for Change would have had. David Hines, as far as I know, is still writing. Lincoln Lewis is still writing. That is because we have a mandate to the people. We don't have a constituency that we cater for. We're not a political party. We investigated the PPP. I keep saying this over and over. We investigated the PPP in 2015. We did our job leading up to 2020. If there's another government that goes in there, if I'm sitting here, I think, or not, the Kaichor News has a mandate to continue reporting. So if you want to know about Glenn's thinking as to why he kept David Hines and Lincoln Lewis. I don't think he's going to change that in a little while, but he could probably give you some reasons. 624-6456, you could call him on that, 624-6456. Mr. Glendale, I think he'd be very happy. If I can't answer it, he's already said it, that he, as publisher, is willing to answer anybody about anything that has to do with his newspaper and his radio. So thank you very much there, Mr. Lally, for listening. A good day to you, sir. Now, with regards to the elections case this afternoon, Yog, I think people would be very, very interested as to some of the scenarios that would be playing out. Likely, let us talk about if the High Court, decide to toss this thing out and says, this does not have a place in this court here. What happens then? Could we look at a couple of scenarios so people could understand what's happening?
Yes. If the High Court decides that it does not have jurisdiction, then it cannot put a stay on GCOM. You see the point? Mm-hmm. In fact, it did not put a stay on GCOM. What the court did, was to take GCOM's word that, you know what, in the past we never acted as long as something is in front of the courts, and you know, we have no reason to change that. So if this thing doesn't have jurisdiction, then there is no way that GCOM's hands can be tied. What we do know is that behind the scenes, Mr. Cheat Lowenfield will cheat again. He only knows one way, and that is to cheat. 5 times he had a chance, or 6 times now, I've lost count. But he has had opportunity after opportunity. So a cheat doesn't know other than to cheat. And so it is expected that Mr. Cheat Lowenfield is going to cheat. Full stop. Then what will happen? GCOM will have its job cut out to say, okay, do we take, because remember the chairman already said if he cannot present a report, then his replacement would have to do it. And so then you get to that scenario, and you know, remember in the meanwhile, some of these people have sanctions hovering over their heads. Some of the older ones who never went anywhere and has nothing to do about going anywhere, they really don't care. So they're going to continue to mislead people. But there are some of them with families overseas and stuff like that. So the scenario here, Leonard, is that the court may indeed find it has no jurisdiction. And remind you, I read a paragraph from the CCJ's report that says no court, no authority, no person can change that. So a lower court cannot then go and invalidate a superior court's words. You remember the Madam Chief Justice used the words res judicata, which means already decided by a superior court. That forms law. You cannot go against it. So there's that, Leonard. So the options are what I would have outlined there. At the end of the day, I dare say that more and more, Madam Claudia Singh, with respect to her, she is getting to realize that sooner or later she will have to make that call. Sooner or later she will have to check the laws. She's a former judge. She knows the laws like the back of her hand, and she will have to check the laws to see where she finds out authority to proceed. And I'm sure she is no slouch. She is a very, very, very bright person, a very bright woman, a respected legal person in all her professional life. And so, she certainly knows what is doing. On that point, let me just address, because, people keep repeating some Brian Braffett. Brian, I don't know if this is your first time you have joined us on this show, my brother. I am saying this with respect to you, Brian. Brian, if this is the first time you have joined this discussion, then I'm not going to critique what you said there, except to say the following. So I'm assuming this is the first time you joined us. Brian, I don't know about the 1,400 persons that were killed, my brother. I would love to dedicate a whole week of Room 592 with Leonard Gildarie and bring the list to me. 1,400 names that you are saying, please, you say 1,400. Vala Lawrence said 500,000. Other people said 420. Whichever it is, hold on to one number, and tell your leaders to hold on to one number. Y'all treating the numbers just like how you're treating the fictitious Cheat Lowenfield numbers. It's all over the place. But I would be happy. It is a serious matter that extrajudicial killing continues to take place in this country. And I would be happy, Leonard, for you and me to dedicate some of our Room 592 time, bring the PPP leaders on, bring whoever else wants to come in. I know we had a gentleman that talked that he would like to join a discussion about a discussion about race and ramifications. And let's, Brian Braffett, sir, send Leonard that list or send me the list of the 1,400 names and be prepared and come and present your case. And I'll tell you, if it is so, it is so. We don't have to hide it. If the PPP is guilty, it is guilty. Mind you, PNC, APNU, if he had 5 years in office, to jail them, to bring them in front of the court, to hold a commission of inquiry into all those 1,400 or 500,000 or whatever is the number. They never even sniffed. They never even give an indication that they will do it. I don't know whether it was the Minister of Bicycles or the Minister of Boats or the Minister of Fuel or whatever that ought to have done this. What I do know is that the PNC like to say something and run and go into hiding. And so they said it. The one lady stood up on GCOM thing and talk about murderers. She said on air, 500,000 or something like that. But bring the numbers now. You talk about winning the election, we said bring the SOPs now. You talk about dead people voting, we said bring the evidence now. Nothing y'all can't prove, man. That's the limit we are now, that all of the allegations, not one proof. And you have Kaicho News, you have Glenn Law, you have Leonard and I. We'd be willing to call it the way we see it. So, sir, put up or shut up.
Thank you very much. And then somebody would have pointed out to Yog that Stabrook News would have done an investigation to take the names and then went to their reports of it and see who killed these persons. Many of the names that came up were persons who were gang members or were killed in police confrontation or by their own gang members too. So I don't understand how they come up. But yes, it is something. Let's put closure to it. Let's put closure to it, Yog. Bring it, put it on the table. Let's have a discussion on it.
Yeah, there is a serious problem in this country with one political party only, not the rest. I can't blame Charles. Charles is an intelligent, very intelligent young man. Josh, Rhonda and Lam, the other people in the ANUG and PPPC, they're intelligent people. They want one party, one political party got problem with English and math. And I don't know how we can help them.
So regardless how this goes this afternoon in court, Yoga, we see in the Court of Appeal and maybe the CCJ again?
Well, no, if there is no jurisdiction, if this court decides it has no jurisdiction, then they would have to go to a higher court to see whether that court should find that this court has jurisdiction. And if that court finds that this court has jurisdiction, whether that court was so direct or that court can adopt the matter and deal with it. Now, remember that court, the Court of Appeal. And this is another matter. I mean, look, I don't wish to bring disrepute to the courts. I have a lot of respect. I've studied a little bit under some of their hands and some of their tutoring when I did my law degree. And so I have great respect for persons in the court. But Leonard, that's why it's a court and that's why it's law. You can agree or disagree. And this is not being disrespectful, but 2 times on this same election matters, on these same election matters, twice the Court of Appeal ruled against the lower court that the CCJ had to overturn the Court of Appeal's ruling and take the side of the lower court. Twice. One was 33 years greater of 65, and the more recent case.
And you're so right, Joe. Courtney Cromwell. This is somebody who went to Queen's College and somebody that I knew seeing in school there. When he was killed, that was something that got me so very angry because I wanted closure. There were so many stories, conspiracy theories that were surfacing. And that happened leading up to the 2015 elections. Guess what? No COI between 2015 to 2020. Why would you not want? The parents were in here all the time in Kaicho News asking for closure. They were developing information based on what they would have known, not a COI. Why would you not want to hold a COI? What about SATSA? What about SATSA?
And Leonard, you see the name of this book that I have on the screen here? A Morning After, written by no other than UC Koyana. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Braffett, and June, get a copy of this book and read it. UC Kwayana has shown and shared the names who were responsible for all the killings, shared those names, and this is why this here is why no COI was ever held in this country. None, because of what that gentleman, Mr. UC Kwayana, wrote here. Many of the things contained here. And remember, Leonard, Freddie Kisoon had done an expose, a series of articles in the Kaichur News many years ago on the same thing. So Brian and June, get a copy of this book. It's written for you and I, for all of us. Let us read why the COI was never held. And I dare say, Leonard, Kaichur News and myself and you and all of us, we got to agitate. The PPP, when it gets into office, must hold a COI.
Thank you for that, Yog. And I'm not sure, Shanti, which court they would go to, if it's Pam court or so. I got to be careful before the boys don't get upset with me. Any case, we are going to hit the lines in a very short while. We want to see the text continuously come into 62222. Let us see those texts come in there. WhatsApp, do not call us on that phone there. And you can call us on 226-7534, 226-7534. Some text that is coming in here. Lincoln Lewis and David Hines were not ejected from the Guyana rag. It was a grand plan to move to Kaichur News because the Chronicle did not have the readership. Kaichur News is a perfect place for them to spew their venom. And that is a good afternoon, guys. I'm a regular listener to your program.
Just stick up in. But Leonard, just stick up in. So ladies and gentlemen, yes, they are writing for Kaichur News, but I want you all to realize how magnanimous we are. Leonard and I doing this here. I have even called out Kaichur News article.
Of course.
We have done so openly. I don't care if you're writing for Kaichur News. I don't have to agree with you. I don't care. I mean, look, those of you who know Glenn Lal, those of you who know Barrett Jagdeo, or you know, well, I don't know David Granger anymore. That man there is not the man I knew. But a lot of these people, look at Christopher Ram. Look at any one of them. You don't have to agree with them. They welcome your disagreement. It creates for healthy debate. So, we have been criticizing. I personally call out David Hines and Lincoln Lewis's article on the same COVID and elections watch, Leonard.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see how that goes. Good afternoon to you. I'm a regular listener to your program. And this is coming from overseas, I must disagree with Dr. Yog's call for the former chairpersons of GCOM to speak out on the conduct of the Secretariat. They're both professionals and are now private citizens and are such not obligated to speak, especially as former bosses in any capacity. Please recognize this and I do not see the shame that these individuals were behaving unprofessionally. Rather, it would be unprofessional of either of them to insert themselves in the ongoing chaos at GCOM's performance in the conduct of the recent elections. Your comment, Dr. Yog Mahadeo?
Well, yes, let me comment. So I'm a private citizen. I should shut up. None of us should speak out. I'm a private citizen. I didn't vote. Nobody knows. I'm not having a public office anyway. Chris Ram is a private citizen. Glenn Lal is a businessman. Why speak out then? We should all shut up and let these rigors go away. There comes a time when it is the private citizens of this country has to realize that soon all will be lost if we don't all speak out. And so I'm not asking them to comment about the commission, the commissioners and the chairman. Comment about the Secretariat. Is this a way that work ought to be done? Because I'll tell you what, Josing commented about the government of Guyana. He was a former army man. He had no shame and sorry, shame is a bad word, but he had no reservations. And I applauded that. We all applauded it. Barrett Jagdeo should shut his mouth then. Sam Hines and Donald Ramatar shouldn't say anything then. They're now private citizens. But for the sake of this country, we have to continue to speak out. We have to continue because wrong can never be right by your silence. If you are silent, in my own humble view, it means you're backing. You're part of what is wrong.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. And we head straight to the lines. We want to hear from our people. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Would have missed that. all corporations and organizations have to step up during this time. In the end, it will be good for businesses, essential. Some examples here in Canada, electricity bills have been lowered. Banks have given people a break to delay mortgages and other debts. Insurance companies have done the same. And of course, government is assisting with grants. All of this ensures that people keep going economically. David Hines, and the same person saying that, is doing more harm to the country because he is promoting division. So there's another caller in line. Good afternoon, caller, you're in the air.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I must thank you so much for your program. And as you just said, don't know if it's the next court they would go, if it's Palm Court. That is so true because these people are sickening. We're tired of it. I'm calling from the West Coast Borbies, and I'm living in a small village named Lovely Lass. And to know, you want to hold a minute for me? Let me turn on this radio a bit, please.
Thank you.
Okay.
So in the meantime, you now join us. It's elections and COVID-19 watch here on Kaicho Radio. You could get us on YouTube as well as Facebook and Kaicho News Online. You there, ma'am? Our apologies, we lost that call there.
Yes.
Yes, let's go down to some other thing. Some other call. So, okay, Kaicho News need to ask those two guys, David and Lincoln, opinion on who they think honestly won the election. Let them go back to the rag. So there's a lot of criticisms there on David Hines, Dr. David Hines, and Lincoln Lewis, two columnists in Kaicho News who would have been taken on by Kaicho News. Good afternoon, guys. I would like all of you to know that I get a light bill for $32,000 in this hard time. Where will I get that money to pay? I just pay like about $5,000 to $7,000. Look how much more now. I can't answer that except that don't pay it, call them in, and then find out why they put you up to $32,000. These are some of the stories that are coming out, and people are very, very upset. If Kaicho News was happening one moment, breaking news, coalition win the election. Another moment, breaking news, election is not credible. I believe all party making up the coalition share the liability for the rigging. WPA, PNC, Just for all those stupid. They have to leave the coalition. No good people within the PNC, or they would have spoken out by now. For any government policy, transparency should be the foundation of such policy. Otherwise, it's a corrupt government. To Mr. Sharma, actions speak louder than words. Don't be Granger. There's a caller in line. Good afternoon, caller, you on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie, Dr. Yog.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I like to know the bicycle minister, man, because we want to put some laugh on them. We already know about let's bring it on the minister. But we want to know this bicycle minister is who, man. Can Dr. Yog give us a little more details? And we already know about the boat minister. So we're glad to know the bicycle minister is who, man.
Thank you very much. We try to answer that off here. Thank you very much. So, Yog, I don't know about anything. I ain't put in my mouth before I get sued. So don't ask me to say that. But let me put it this before you come on there. We are aware, of course, like any good media house, you would receive rumors from time to time, and you would receive documents too, and we have sources. That's how the media world works. So people, they're whistleblowers who would call you and say certain things that's happening. They give you documents. So you see documents who would be buying SUVs. You see documents who get which contract. You see documents who set up shell companies, and so on and so forth. And some of these same people are opening their mouth, sitting on PNN, DNN, ZNN, and wherever else is sitting, and they open in their mouth. They say, my grandmother used to tell me, don't throw stones at glass windows, and you could probably finish it as he takes over from here.
Thanks, Leonard. To the specific question, Mr. Brigadier was on air and he had said, if you want this, I'll call the minister. I believe he was being a little facetious, but, Mr. Brigadier has not been known to meet the press. He has not been known to meet with the media. So there was no way we could have questioned him who was it that he appointed as the Minister of Boats and the Minister of Bicycles. Jokes aside, though, Leonard, I want to remind everybody that during Burnham's days, it was a top-heavy government. Lots of ministers and lots of vice presidents and lots of this and lots of that. And under the Brigadier, again, you had a top-heavy government with lots of vice presidents and all of this and all of that. So it's people, we were not all being able we are not all able to connect the dots as things were happening. But I think the loss of these elections really show us the true nature of these people, Leonard.
And not only that, like I said it before, Yog, I find it very difficult, and this is Gildarie talking here, I find it very difficult to reconcile with the fact that they found it within their heart to face the family and divide this country so much. As politicians, where you're supposed to leave a legacy, how do you do that? How do you move it to this next level that you would actively, in the search of power, in wanting to hold on to power, that you would divide this country, this beautiful country of ours, which had up to last year or early this year so much to offer, that would have become one of the biggest country in terms of oil in this part of the hemisphere. Yet we have people here coming and changing the story. And you could look at the story, the changing narratives as it has been called. We would have started off from one, we're not sure about the system here. Two, you introduced figures that was done. God knows where Clement Mingo pulled it from. There's some boys who would probably tell you where it come. Then he put up a sheet from spreadsheet to bedsheet, as everybody describing it now. So you have one, the chief elections officer, introducing 5-6 different things. Which one, how could he justify which figure that he would have ran and hold the election that he overseen of $8 to $10 billion and provide 6 different figures? It is grounds for dismissal right away. Why has the chairperson not fired him? She would know, and I presume when the time is right, she would come out and say why she did not. I rather presume that the time is near, the time is nigh, after this court case this afternoon, where there's probably going to be a window of opportunity for her to do the correct thing. But what we do know right now is that the story has been changing from not only the bad person becoming the U.S. ambassador and the UK High Commissioner, and then OS becomes the big bad wolf, and then CARICOM has become the big bad wolf. By the time they finish, Guyana don't have a friend in this entire world, Yog. By the time they finish, Guyana is going to be a land that is not landlocked anymore, but we're going to be sitting here because we are enemies with Venezuela, we're enemies with Brazil, we're enemies with all over the world because a few people decide they want to sell that to their people. We have not lost the election. What has happened is that 1,500 dead people voted. They came out of the La Repentier cemetery, and all of them are friends with Yog Mahadeo.
Well, Leonard, the thing is that one has to remember as well, ladies and gentlemen, it would do us always to remember that it is the PNC, the same APNO AFC, right? Let me not disguise it anymore. It is the PNC, of which CN Sharma backing the PNC, Nagamotu backing the PNC, all of them backing the PNC now. It is the PNC that decided on March 2nd, March 3rd, March 4th, hey, I am not going to release my SOPs, right? You remember the bumbling minister when he was in front of the mic, all the bumbling words, not a moment, not one iota of truth. Remember Mr. Motormouth, the same Motu, right, Motormouth. The man has been hitting out against all of our neighbors and all our allies, right, Leonard? This political party refused to release its SOPs, right? Say that it won, it believe it, telling everybody we won, we won. When we say release your SOPs, no. It is the same Granger the Brigadier that in 2015 called on GCOM to release SOPs. Now he's anyway, let me not use that adjective. The other thing is, When the recount started, what they say, every vote must count. Fraud is fraud. Dead people vote cannot count. The fictitious names cannot count. Immigrants voted. Dead people voted. You name it. Remember when they had about 40 fake death certificates on their walls? Right? They had 40 fake death certificates on the wall. Right? And they show that, well, dead person can't count. Then guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what the numbers Chief Lowenfield had in his latest report? The Mingo numbers. You know what Mingo did? Mingo added 20,000 votes. Fake, dead, you name it. I don't know. Nobody knows. Because those ballots were not in the boxes on March 2nd and were not in the boxes during the recount. The man created 15,000 names. And I guess, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 2-3 days, we are seeing where the names came from, right? Because we are seeing all the worshiping going on, calling on the zombies and calling on everybody to rise and come and you know, you say, put fear in the heart of whoever that they could declare it in their way. But ladies and gentlemen, Leonard is right. The shame that they have brought to this country is unimaginable. But Leonard, my brother, I'll tell you, you know this. The tears of our children that are starving, the tears of our people who are sick and go to the hospital and they can't even get aspirin or Tylenol or anything, any help. The tears of our people will flow. And Leonard, there is a God. Today, tomorrow, but one day, all sin, all rigging, all will be overcome by good, and truth will always triumph. They are fearful of the truth. I am not. And I wish to remind, as a Guyanese people, we will not bend. I didn't bend before, and I'm not going to bend to any rigor there now.
Thank you very much there, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, Elections, COVID-19 Watch here. Kaicho Radio, we go straight to the lines now. Good afternoon, caller, you're on the air.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I would just like to ask Mr. Sharma, for all that what PPP do, and when them in the back down and criticize Sharma, Jagdeo, what am I do now with the rigors them? And two, I would just like to ask Mr. Granger, that the great text tell you that let I water no leak on you, your soul should not be in peace. Please come out and give the people them free access, let them go and do what I have to do. So otherwise his soul going to be in the air, fly like a wayward dog. Thank you very much.
My goodness. Thank you very much, dear caller. Do have a pleasant rest of the afternoon. And to all those people in West Belize, lovely lass, and wherever you're calling us from and listening, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, guys. My take on some of these people overseas wanting to be all politically intelligent, but they need to come home and live and see what we're going through right here for the good of all and abroad when they come home on vacation or investment. So if you're living abroad and you're talking, you should come here and see what the people are going through.
I want to beg, please, whoever wrote that message, please allow me. I disagree with you. Let them stay there. We don't want to come here at all.
Yeah, stay right over there. Don't come back. Or if you're coming here, don't put a fake profile. Come here and let us face it. Mano or mano. That's it. Our boys like this kind of thing, macho kind of thing. Gentlemen, there are people still in denial that APNU has lost the elections. No, I don't think there are people in denial. I disagree with you there. Good afternoon, Yog and Leonard. I would like to suggest one thing: since the election cost $8 billion to run, and we have people that are suffering at this time because of the election saga and COVID-19. That suggestion is for the government to give $1 million to each member of the voters list that will help ease their burden going forward while the government takes the time and get this country back to prosperity. Me just got one question to ask you there, buddy. Where you going to get it, Pun? But I guess where there's a will, there's a way, eh? There's a caller online. Yes, good afternoon, caller. You on the air?
Yes, good afternoon. Sorry to delay your time earlier.
No, you didn't delay. Go ahead, ma'am.
As I was saying, in my village, we grew up together. Most people in this village, we're family. And to know this election, I heard you talk about it, how you lose your friends just like that, and it's hurting. And it's so true. You all are speaking so true. everything for every Guyanese except the ones who back in these cabals, you know. And they're so bitchful, wicked, just because they want to do the wrong thing. They don't care how hungry they go. They don't care how much bills you have to pay. As long their people is there, they're happy, you know. It's sad. It's so sad to know where our beautiful country going, you know. As I'm talking, I can cry here. It's so hurtful. And when I heard you program, it brings so much joy to me, so much happiness that you expressed that the whole world could hear, you know. Because we're here and we can't get it out, and you just care to talk because you're going to be more enemy. They'll watch you. Your life is unsafe, and they could talk because they say they have mouth to talk. We have mouth to, but we cannot talk. We just have to hold our peace. But how long more? How long more? It's so sad to know these people. I've never seen. I grow up and I heard about it, but I become a woman now that I can see what my parents, they were saying back in those days, you know. And thanks for this program, and continue it. No matter what, y'all please bring it. We need it, we need it, we need it so much, and there's so much to complain here about, you know. But I can't say it all because I know other people want to say it too. The light bill is so much. The water bill is so much. The people sit in there, they estimate you, and they send big bills to you. And when you go in and you go to query, you still have to pay what they're saying. And we don't have money. You know, you get jobs sometimes for the whole week you're in work, or 2-3 days a week. It's sad. It's so much hurting. I don't know why Guyana has to go through this because of what? Oil? I don't think it's because of oil, because these dirty, wicked bitches, old bitches, them in there.
All right, ma'am.
I don't want to
Yeah.
go on
Yes,
more, but
sir.
carry on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very
Guys,
much.
and thank God. There is a God, and God is truth, not of lie and ugliness. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Zero. Thank you very much, Zero. And to all the people on West Berbice there, lovely lass, a good day to you. And Yog, we've been seeing this increasingly as the weeks go by and the frustration mounting in the people. There's a lot of hurt. I'm not going to say anger, but there's a lot of hurt in the people, a lot of frustration in the people, because there's no logical explanation for what has been, what a few politicians. And when we started this program, I'd wanted to just sit here and just put the news out there. But as you sit here and you're listening to the people, what they're saying, you cannot help but become an active participant in this entire thing. How could you? We have a little power here in terms of the newspaper. You could write something, you could say something. And the people, like the woman just said, they don't have a voice, and this program here, it gives them an outlet on that. It is unbelievable what people are saying at this point in time, that you're in a country where you're a taxpayer, where you're supposed to be a citizen of this country, and you're afraid to open your mouth and speak. What kind of world are we living in, that you're afraid of a government, that you would speak because somebody is not going to clean the drain that is back of you, somebody is not going to give you your pension because there's a waiting line and we're going to choose 2 or 3 people that looks like me? Is that the kind of country that we want? Is this the kind of politicians that we want? Is this a country that we're growing up our children in? Maybe over to you, but that is a lot of hurt in that woman.
There is a lot of hurt, Leonard, and it is representative. Thank you for calling. And it is representative of how people are feeling across the country. Leonard, this is not the time to consider, look, you and I have been at this since day one. And from day one, Leonard, when COVID-19 started, what was one of the first things we said? We said if David Granger could give up his multi-million-dollar salary, if Moses Nagamutu could give up his multi-million-dollar salary, if all of them who call themselves ministers could give up their salary, we could raise millions of US dollars to help the poor people of this country. But Leonard, they want to have their cake and they want to eat it, and to heck with the rest of the people in this country. That's how it is. And Benaya Rodriguez Brash, sir, can you please come on this program? Benaya, tell me who's racist. Tell me where we have said anything of race here. If you have nothing to add, don't say the kind of nonsense. You're accusing our brothers and sisters of being racist. Tell me how they are being racist. Today, Leonard, I'm not letting anything go by. I will call them out the way I see it. You, Mr. Brash, or whatever your name is, you are saying Jagdeo stole some money. Take the man to court now. Will you bring Jagdeo to this program? Is this Jagdeo's program? You go. If Jagdeo is your hero that you need to speak his name every moment of the day, Mr. Jagdeo is an intellectual. You go and you deal with Mr. Jagdeo in the court. Now, why are you accusing him here? So this is where the problem is, Leonard. People are starving. Some people, and Mr. Brash, you seem to be enjoying the good life. And so you don't want to give up the good life. And you feel when we speak out against you and the Brigadier, we're suddenly being racist. I'm speaking against Moses Nagamotu. Am I racist? What race am I? What race is Mr. Brigadier? What race are you? Who cares? Do you, Mr. Brash, have you asked what is the race of the dozens of children crying for meal? You have the audacity to come here and talk about race, and you don't care one crap about what happens to our children in this country. That is a representative, again, Leonard, of what the Brigadier and his cabal is doing to this country. And I'm sorry that caller is, but that caller speaks from the heart. And this is what we are going through. Look, Leonard, what the first case, Yulita Moore. Before that was the NCM case. Then after Yulita Moore case was another case. I can't even remember the names of the cases. Help me out here. Then today we have Jones case.
Messenger
Leonard,
Jones, yes.
Leonard, can Kaichur News do an investigation? Who is paying these attorneys? Who paying those Trinidadian attorneys to appear on behalf of the Guyanese people? Imagine, here is a political party that says, y'all mustn't say anything about Guyana, our sovereignty, stay out of business, and they couldn't find local lawyers, attorneys at law. They go take overseas attorneys at law who can't even speak Guyanese. They're speaking with their foreign twang. I have nothing against them, but this is a set of shameless people that's saying, stay out of the business, but they go take foreign lawyers. Now, come down to brass tacks. You have a situation where they're paying millions of dollars. I believe the figure that has been floated around was over $1 million US was paid for the no confidence motion. Remember, the Attorney General was party to that. The state forked out millions of dollars. The state is paying, Leonard. And I wonder what would happen tomorrow if the PPP come to you and say, if the state can pay the PNC to have these vexatious cases, then why they can't pay the PPP one? And Mr. Benaya, you're at it again. Can you say, who don't want a black president to rule our country? Call the names. Let me hear, because you're talking nonsense. Because do you know if Leonard and I voted for David Granger the last time? This is the kind of nonsense, Leonard. He is saying that nobody wants Granger because he's a black president. I don't know that Granger is black. I don't know if he's Indian. I don't know if he's mixed. I don't know his race. It didn't matter to me. If it mattered to you, you are the racist, sir.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. And I would probably read this very quickly before we go to the phone lines again. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you guys for all the information, what's happening. And I think GCOM, Madam Chair, should use the recount figures to declare the winner of the elections. This has been going on for far too long, and the people of Guyana, the Guyanese people are suffering. They need to move on with their lives. Thank you very much. And this is somebody all the way up from the Netherlands. A good day to you, to this person and your family over there. There's a caller online. Good afternoon, caller. Yes, could you lower your volume of your radio right away, please? Hello? We'd have to cut that call. My apologies about that.
Yeah,
If you're
let's
calling if you're calling
right.
us, our apologies. It's difficult to get through with us because it's one line that we're working with. But make sure that your volume of your radio is down. It will interfere with us, interfere with the quality of the program. So very quickly, Yoga, let us see some others.
And Leonard,
Yes.
let's have the discussion about race a little bit more. So what race is can anybody tell me what race is the presidential candidate of ANOG? I don't know. I never checked. Can anybody tell me what race is Timothy Jonas? Can anybody tell me what race is Mark Phillips? Can anybody tell me what race is Barrett Jagde? Or what race is, do you know?
But what
Can
race got
anybody?
to do? What race got to do with an
Yeah, that's
elections that is very clear in the numbers? What is wrong with these people?
good. And you know what else, Leonard? The truth is, APNU AFC won the 2015 by other people voting for it. Not just Afro-Guyanese, and Afro-Guyanese vote for the PPP as well. The PPP could not have won this time if it was only Indo-Guyanese that voted for them.
York,
It's everybody
York,
voting.
stop it. These people here, it is very, very clear what has happened. And a couple of people have decided they want to change the story. The story is very, very simple. There's an elections, there's a count, there's a recount. The recount is showing what a count is. And it's saying that the People's Progressive Party, whether you like it, whether I like David Granger, whether I like Bar Jagdeo, whatever you like, at the end of the day, the figures are saying that. The world is saying that. CARICOM was here, the center team. They didn't allow CART Center to come here. CARICOM was here. They said that. CARICOM is saying that. OS is saying that. The rest of the world is saying that. A couple of people, including Lampi Pampi and the rest of them, and you could open your mouth and you could come after me too. We're ready for you guys.
And
Don't
Leonard,
throw
you remember
stones.
a couple of weeks ago, you had two of them on the show that were defending some numbers. Defending what? What were they defending, Leonard? And you remember when you cut me off? They were defending some numbers. Where are the numbers today? They all gone back and they were hugging Mr. Mingo, and one of them on that show said he cannot accommodate and he cannot embrace Mingo's numbers. Today, his political party is embracing Mingo's numbers once again.
I can't understand we even talk about race here because that is a non-issue. What is an issue here, and you could deal with that, is that there's a recount, and the recount is showing that the whole world has recognized it. You name me one person, Yog Mahadeo, and I'm not talking to Yog Mahadeo here. I'm talking to the persons who want to change the story from what it is. Name me one person or one country which has come out and said that this is wrong. Just one. Just name me one, Yog.
Exactly, there is not. The man doesn't. The cabal doesn't have a friend. They don't have an ally. They don't have any supporter. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, African countries, Asian countries, European countries, Latin American countries, South American countries, all have written, all have called out this rigging cabal and tell them, get out, get out, get out. You're stealing, you're thieves. Remove yourself from there. But they're not listening. Now, at one time, I laughed when I said this. At one time, remember, Leonard, when they were bad-mouthing Ralph Gonzalez and bad-mouthing Mayor Motley and say, oh, well, Mercury bought them out, and Mercury, everything was Mercury, till everybody in this country knows that Mercury was not a liquid anymore, and Mercury was not just something that existed on the periodic table. But jokes aside, these people have now, today, the most embarrassing thing, you are seeing photographs being posted with Jagdeo next to, photoshopped, of course, ladies and gentlemen, these things are photoshopped. They're posting Barrett Jagdeo next to Honorable Claudette Singh. Imagine, what message are you trying to say? That whatever Claudette Singh says, you are not going to agree? You don't know what she's going to say. If you don't know what ruling Claudette Singh is going to give, then how can you criticize her? If you know what ruling Claudette Singh is going to give, it means you know you lost these elections and you're just rigging and you want to continue staying in there. So, Leonard, the attack against Claudette Singh is an acceptance of loss.
There's another
And they're
thing.
not realizing the whole world seeing them.
There's another thing, though. You know what is so sad? When you see how the story has changed, how much things have happened. Imagine you went after a diplomat who's been in 2015. This diplomat, the British diplomat, Greg Quinn, I think his tenure is going to be over in another couple of weeks. He's going to be leaving Guyana. Somebody who fought against the PPP, who opened his mouth and talked against the PPP and would have come out with the other diplomats, ABC in the EU country, and tell the PPP that you have to leave, you have to demit office, you have lost. 2020, they went after the man's personal life, who he's sleeping with and things like that. These are things, let's don't beat around the bush. Another lady who is from Barbados, who's a leader of the government, who just happens to have been the chair of CARICOM, went after the woman's sexual preference. You want to hear ridiculousness, Yog? But we could go on and on because these are some of the madness that has happened. These are some of the stories.
These people who posting things against Ralph Gonsalves, you know, they went after Sir James, right? And somebody wrote on my Facebook page to say Sir James' great ancestor, somebody was Indo-Guyanese, so he will talk. I don't know how they come up with these things, but hear what? They talk about Ralph Gonsalves, they talk about Greg Quinn, they talk about all these people, right? But they're not talking about the drug scandal, the drug bond scandal. They're not talking about the contracts that recently was given out. None of them. They're not talking about the illegal fuel scam. They're not talking about the want of entry vehicles. They're not talking about the abuse of duty-free concessions. They're not talking about any of these things. They want to go talk, and they're telling these people stay out of our business, which means they like the fraud. Fraud is fraud. They're the ones saying that every day. That's their new thing. Fraud is fraud. So they love the fraud. They adore the fraud, and they want a fraud as a president. That is what these people want. And it's ridiculous, Leonard, but it is also serious. It speaks to a nation that can allow itself to be so divided that some people, like the Banaya guy or whatever his name is, that would come here and say Mr. Nagamutu is of a particular. Who cares? Who cares who Nagamutu is? Nagamutu was once in PPP, now he is PNC. WPA, the same party, the same PNC that killed WPA, right? And Nagamutu wrote against that. Now he embracing them. He killed Walter Rodney a second time, and WPA killed him finally. But you know, these are the things that we continue to discuss. But Leonard, all of them who are talking against Ralph Gonsalves and were saying fraud is fraud. They want a fraud as a president in Granger. They want to shut their mouth against the big fraud at Durban Park. They shut their mouth against the fuel fraud, the illegal racket. They shut their mouth against the land sharing out. They shut their mouth against the fuel the duty-free concessions that they're sharing out. They shut their mouth because yes, they love the fraud. This is why they keep saying fraud is fraud, Leonard.
Well, you explain to me because you want to talk. You talk about the drug bond that is right next door to Kaicho News in Sussex Street here. We could talk about putting down a heliport, Yog, with these big helicopters. Do you ever listen to one of them? That is going to be right next door to the thing. And guess what? You're now going to consult with the people to see whether the noise will affect. What ridiculous thing is that? But, we could go on and on and on and on. But talking with the Prime Minister of Barbados on his sexual preference, these are how ridiculous the stories, the change in narratives would have been in the elections of 2020. But there's a caller online. Let's go straight to the calls. Good afternoon, caller. You in the air? No. There's not. But today I want to take the opportunity, Yog, on behalf of Kaicho Radio, Kaicho News, the entire crew here, to wish happy birthday to our little baby who would have grown up and been over the years, 8 years for her, little Surya, Glenn's granddaughter. Happy birthday to you, little girl. We would have seen you over the years, and you've grown into a wonderful young lady. We'll say young lady because you listen to her, very intelligent, like her mom. Good day to you, dear Tish and Frank, and from all of us here. She reminds me a lot of my little daughter. So good day to you and happy birthday to you, little girl.
And thank you, Leonard. You're right. You want to talk about things, let's talk. I forgot about the biggest one.
What's up?
The Ocean View stuff. $1 billion. Guyanese brothers and sisters, $1 billion, which is 1/3 of the total that they plan to spend on that Ocean View property. Don't forget, Leonard, what was the rental? If you can pick up the Kite Show News, you guys have shown that they were paying a massive sum as rental for that building too. $1 billion for retrofitting that doing the facade, doing the outside. They still got to do the inside of it. Also, Leonard, and ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that you had the Ocean View. Don't forget that you also have, remember we spoke about the vouchers earlier, Leonard?
Mm-hmm.
Good. It was actually 15,000 vouchers of $6,000 each. Ladies and gentlemen, 15,000 vouchers of $6,000 each.
How much is it? 90 million? 90 million?
Thank you. You are good at math.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and let me say a thank you to the good lady who sent this information into me, and to the gentleman that sent the other information to me. Thank you. $90 million. I want to know who were the recipients. Leonard, those people who are talking about race and talking about the nonsense, let's talk real talk. Let's talk real talk. $1 billion. Ocean View. The people who are part of the procurement unit of this country ought to resign in shame. Resign in shame, because you're aiding and abetting an illegal government, Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, until and unless we have mass movement of conscience of people who are blockading, who are holding up this country at ransom, we're not going to have change. Because let me tell you what happened. You have a handful of people that might want to be in this commission, and a handful that might want to be in that commission, and they have their cushy jobs, and they ain't going to give it up. They're not giving it up while the people are suffering. And Mr. Brigadier going to call them and say, listen, I need you to spend $1 billion over there, and I need you to spend so over there on a helipad, and I need you to do this for a heliport somewhere, and stuff like that. And they're going to do it because the boss says so. The boss, Mr. Procurement Commission, the boss, your boss was voted out of power March 2nd. He doesn't have the moral or legal ground to be spending all the monies that he's spending. In addition, it is no other than the Brigadier who said, give his word to this nation, Leonard. You remember I read it last week. Give his word to the nation. We are not going to enter into major contracts. We are not going to do these things. We are not going to hold the Guyanese people at ransom. Mr. Brigadier, give his word to the nation. But we know what is the value of David Granger's word. We know what is the value. They have shown it over and over and over again. Leonard, look, what do you and I want? People can ask, what does everybody on this program want? What does Guyanese people want? All we want is for a government to be held responsible for what they're doing. I don't care what's your name. I don't care what's your political party. I don't care who you are. If you want to run this country, you must be answerable to the people of this country. And that's all that matters, Leonard. And Mr. Granger and team, y'all have lost the elections. Every cent you earn, every meal you eat, every cup of coffee, every sip of wine that you drink, you are stealing from the mouths of babies in this country that cannot have a meal to eat. And that is shameless, beyond shameless. That is criminal.
Shameless. Good day, there's a caller on line. Caller, good afternoon, you're on here.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Then these people are talk about racism. Good? Let me look at Jack Deal. When Jack Deal had all them people in all them building at work, nobody never raised that time. As Granger go in office, you look what he do as a president. He resign everybody who is not in his favor. Good? So when they talk about favor racism, they should check on their own, as Kanto by Yog Mahadeo talking about it. Let them speak about themselves and then come to us. We are not racism. I am dealing with all kind. As a poor man, We living together. We talk together. But them are the one out there are putting people to do this kind of nonsense and wicked things on this program and from the internet. And I don't know if Mr. Gildarie, what's your name? That by you could able to explain and tell us what's going on in front of U.S. Embassy for now. I saw something on the internet. I don't know.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear caller. Yog, what is happening there? You know?
No, actually, listen. You got a small group, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you what's going on there. You got a small group of people in this country that there's so much love to have a seat of power and to show off that even with the elections lost, they want to continue showing off. So they go parading up and down all over the place. Imagine the high court, the court was in session, high court, right? And the court was in session listening to the matter, and it was listening to the matter virtually. Nobody was in the courtroom. And you had some people gone and they were protesting in front of the court building, right? That's the kind of people we have. And you know what is worse is the people who are paying them to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, those people who are protesting, they got more money from this government over this past 100 days than they got over the past 5 years of the PNC rule. And Leonard, you know what is even worse? The people who are holding strong for this cabal, they're equally responsible for the state of our country. Crime is on an increase. We are seeing the people just stealing and stealing wantonly now, right? Now you want to talk about settlements. You know, look, people talking all kind of things. 1964, who did what? Wisma tragedy, Son Chapman tragedy, this tragedy, that tragedy. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody is talking about tragedy being engineered by a ruling cabal on the people of this country. And one caller reminded us rightly recently, Leonard, a couple of calls ago, that when you were growing up, you would hear about Burnham. And you would feel that probably your parents were exaggerating about the rigging. Now you're seeing it for yourself. Leonard, we have photos of these people with the documents. I shared one online of people with the documents in the hand. We have photos with GCOM officers with all the folios, the poll books and everything with them. We have videos and documents to show everything. But you know they cannot win an election petition. So what they want to do is steal the election beforehand. And they're trying every which way. Today at 4 o'clock, in a matter of minutes, I guess, we're going to see the Chief Justice hold firm. I have no doubt she will rule based on what is in front of her. She will rule. She's been known to make rulings based on the laws and based on the case in front of her. She is not. Ladies and gentlemen, she's not going to be bothered with who's PPP, who PNC, what race is Leonard Gildarie, or what race is them. She don't care. Roxanne Jar doesn't care about anything like that. She cares about the law. She cares about the case in front of her, and she will rule on that. And that's what you want the courts to do, Leonard. Roxanne George also knows that this country rests on her shoulders. And you know what? I would go so far to state no better shoulders than hers, Leonard. No better shoulders than hers.
Thank you very much, Yoga. And I would like to know, you would have to find something that I could be able to sue you after this for being frustrated and for suffering from stress over the last 140 days since the March the 2nd election. You need to do your research on that. There's a caller in line. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon to you and to Dr. Yog.
Yes, sir.
There's so much to talk about, you know, but first let me begin with the young lady who called from Lovely Lass. Her sentiments truly speaks volumes, and I think that echoes what every Guyanese is feeling right now, irregardless of race. The pain, the hurt, you know, the sorrow and the suffering of watching a nation being destroyed by the arrogance, the ignorance, the hypocrisy of a government that totally doesn't want to relinquish, you know, or to accept the fact that they have lost an election. That being said, let me go down to those hypocrites and parasites that keep calling and with their fake IDs and saying about these blatant accusations about whose sides you guys are taking. Maybe they're not listening clearly or closely enough, because what you guys are more or less propagating or trying to instill is the fact that you are leaning towards the PPP because it is all clear that the PPP has won. There was a time when everybody was willing to give Granger a chance, and I'm pretty sure you guys were on board also to give him a chance to make sure that people want to change, and we're going to give him a chance, and he was given a chance, and for 5 years he did nothing. More or less, he just totally destroyed a country and put people back into the reminiscence of days that people don't want to even remember.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're talking about days to remember, there's an old saying from a wise man that says, if we don't try to,
if you forget the past,
to the past, we are condemned to repeat it. We are condemned to repeat it. And to all those youngsters out there who want to jump about and yell and scream and create ruckus in the nation, you got to be at least 40 years old to know what those days were like, because I can remember what my mom and my dad used to tell me, and those were painful days. Oh yes, they were painful days, because there's not a time that they sit to talk about it, that they don't cry or they don't, sometimes it hurts so much, because it is exactly that made them leave that beautiful country and take their life and their 6 children and run to the United States. You understand? If things were better, if there was a government that wanted to take care of its people, there would have been no need. And as a matter of fact, I would support the idea also that's exactly why so many Guyanese have left. Let's talk about the side of hardship now. What is Guyana known for? Aren't we the land of many waters? Why are we paying for water? Why are Guyanese being shoved a bill of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for water? I can look. I don't disagree. It's commerce, it's economics for the country. It's good for the country, and it's money into the country's pocket. Yes. If you want to import bottled water, fine. Who wants to buy it and drink it? Fine, no problem. Go ahead, do that. That's your choice. But at the same time, it is our water. It is so much in abundance. Okay, fine. I can understand that you have to pay to get the wells in and the pumps going and the fuel and all that stuff and to run the lines and whatever. Okay, add a few dollars to the taxes and let's supplement that. But why should water that comes out from a well that we have to pay for?
Right. Okay, caller. Thank you very much, dear. We have to start wrapping up now, but thank you. Any other points very quickly?
There's so much, man. There's so much.
I know.
But at the same time, I can't wait for the victory and for me to celebrate with my people, and let us all move on, man. Let us move on.
Thank you very much, dear caller. And you're saying what's in the heart of many want to get this over with and done. So thank you very much, dear caller. Yog, this evening, immediately after that, for 7:30 in room 592, I think you have a very important guest. Could you tell us a little about that? What are we expected to be discussing?
Yes. We would need to analyze whatever is the decision that the CJ will be handing down today. So we have Mr. Anil Nandlal joining us in room 592. I'm hoping to also have a surprise guest. Sorry. If that happens, then we'll certainly share it maybe in advance. Stay in tune, ladies and gentlemen, to Kaito Radio and to our Facebook page and so forth, so we'll share it. But certainly for now, it is Mr. Anil Nandlal.
Thank you very much, dear Yoga. And so that's supposed to be good because he doesn't mince words there. So good afternoon, gentlemen. Tears came to my eyes as I listened to the caller from Barbies. You guys are doing an excellent job. Continue to speak on behalf of all those who can be enraged to tell their part of this political mess we're in. I pray that God bless you. Thank you very much for those thoughts, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, myself. Good afternoon. I was born and raised in Enmore. I remember my father talking to me in 1992 to a PPP meeting in Enmore at age 5. I have pictures with me shaking Mr. Chedi Jagan's hand. I remember my family talking about rice flour and having to go fetch a bucket of water to fill the barrel. I remember them still to this day about Barnum days, but I think 2020 elections is more cruel than Barnum days. So let's see another one very quickly before we go on. Okay, there's a caller line. Good afternoon, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm calling from Barbies. Can Kaichor News investigate why at this point in time the Albion police station is being demolished and rebuilt? And who got that contract? What's the contract cost? Thank you, sir.
Albion police station. All right, thank you very much. We should look into that. Thank you very much, caller. Yoga, and so this afternoon at 4 o'clock in a few moments' time, we are going to cut in, bring you live coverage from the High Court, where Chief Justice Roxanne George will render a decision with regards to that elections case. I think somebody would have sent to us there. I think this is a 12th court case that we would have had since March 2nd. Imagine that 12th court case. Where in the world, if that's not a world record for you, I don't know what it is. And we have people sitting down there. Come take my visa. You want it? Tell me the date and the time I'm going to bring my visa. Yo, when are you ready? Could we go give our visa up? I'm not sure.
The hypocrisy is incomparable, Leonard. Those persons who say that you don't need an appointment to give up your visa.
Tear it up.
But what's happened, Leonard, is that they would be in for a rude shock. And I just want to share this with our viewers and listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any qualms, any queries about how things happen on the immigration front, we are hoping that in room 592 sometime this week we'll bring in another immigration specialist. But just so that you know, APNU AFC, Facebook lawyers and Facebook legal experts have been touting this thing that U.S. cannot take away their visa and cannot remove their rights. It is their right, blah, 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 blah. We had Miss Deborah Messier and Mr. Douglas Muir, two former employees of the U.S. State House. They were in room 592 last week, and they spoke quite clearly about whether you could appeal this sanction, this personal sanction or not. They also said that those people who are overseas aiding and abetting this mischief and holding up, supporting an illegal government, they are under investigation as well. So, Leonard, this is a wide net. And so, ladies and gentlemen, don't take on these people, the Banayan, Barayan, or Brian, or whatever they name that come to tout their racist talk now. They are being investigated by all the agencies. And this is not the U.S. alone, Leonard. You remember the good lady took pains to explain to us, also Mr. Douglas Muir took pains to explain to us, the OAS, which is, all of these countries, and Brazil now is part of this, that are looking at these people. Ladies and gentlemen, after these elections, we'd want to import, we'd want to have trade relations with these countries. Are you saying that if Granger steals these elections to Mr. Benaya or Brian, if Granger continues to steal these elections, right, and he stays in power, you don't need U.S., you don't need Brazil, you don't need Suriname, you don't need Trinidad, you don't need anybody. Where will you import your shirt and pants from? You'll make it in Guyana? You can only stitch it here. We don't make textiles here. We don't manufacture textiles here. We stitch them. So, Leonard, where would they get certain stuff from? And by the way, why they don't give up the internet? Why they don't give up the tablets, the computers that they're using? So the hypocrisy is real. One thing I'll say in closing, what these elections have shown us is the difference between people who are humane, having been born human, and those who are so power drunk that they lose their humaneness. And in the process, they lose their humanity.
And that is so right, Yog. It's like playing a game of poker. I don't understand. Strategically, why would you throw in your entire hand, everything that you have, you throw out, I think in Guyanese terms, you throw out your belly. Why would you throw out your belly just in the sake of somebody accepting what is clearly not there, which is an elections that has been clearly lost by the coalition? And here it is that you standing up and shouting to the world, come take away it. If you want me, you tell me the date and the time I'm going to come to the U.S. Embassy and hand it in. And you there boasting big and bad. I don't understand. Why would you do that? Who shouts the loudest is the one who's going to be heard. Good afternoon, Leonard and Yog. I'm messaging from Jamaica listening to your program. I'm a Guyanese surgeon in training, about to complete my training. I'm looking forward to returning home to use my skills to help all Guyanese. Unfortunately, this current state of affairs is not encouraging for my return. I speak for myself and many other Guyanese over here with a diverse range of postgraduate training looking to return. Due to this situation, other CARICOM countries and Jamaica are pushing to keep us with them and are urging and are using our current political situation as a reason. Guyana has become a rogue due to a few inconsiderate individuals who are not only destroying this country at all levels, but making a mockery of us. They need to stop. And so all the, and this is me saying now, all the contractors and everybody who's tried a little thing in seeing whether they could hold on to power a little more. We are paying attention. We know the names, we know them, and we are going to call them out. Today it happens to be 140 days since the March the 2nd elections. And guess what? The same way that you could attempt to bully us, we're not going to be in bullying. We're going to call you out. Whether you want to be a racist, whether you are playing a part, we are going to make sure that you call your name. So you could stand up and you could be with your placards and you could do your nonsense. All Guyana is not with you. There are decent people here who want to see this country move to another angle, to another step, to a place where we're supposed to be, which have been promised to us for years. And we're staying right here, and we want to make sure that that happens. So we're going to go to a call now. Good day, caller, you're in the air.
Hello?
Yes, good day. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to tell Yog Mahadeo that the very Miss Mazir, who he spoke about us now, she said, I was listening to her, she said that she doesn't have any information on Guyanese political history. She's in no position to say anything like that. The other point is, I noticed y'all mentioned this word, dictatorship. If Granger was a dictator, right? Y'all could not have been speaking freely as you are, because.
Well, whether you like it or not, sir, we will continue. We are going to speak as freely as we can. And I'm not sure what other thing.
Jack Deo's time, y'all would have been.
No. We did it during Jack Deo time, and we will continue to do that, sir. No. Go ahead, make a point very quickly and get over with it.
Yeah. So y'all need to get yourselves in order.
No. You get yourself in order and make sure that you are part of Guyana. Yeah. You're in the wrong place.
And ask you, Yog Mahadeo, who owns.
Thank you very much for that caller. We're not going to entertain people like that. You call somewhere else, you go call CNN or DPP or whoever you want to call. Not in the mood for that today.
Well, to that caller, I'll say that if you wanna attack anybody personally, reach out to them. If you wanna attack anybody, just call them. But a dictatorship, ladies and gentlemen, exists in many forms. One of which is stealing of power. A dictatorship exists in many forms.
It's very clear he doesn't know, Yog.
He doesn't know. Modern dictators, you could have some of them resembling the tyrants of the past where they shut down everything. You could have dictators who allow certain things, but they just hold on to power, and where the power is concerned, you could look at countries that are not far from Guyana that has been existing like this. So Leonard, and he started to talk to attack without introducing himself. So next time you want to, introduce
Yeah, don't be
yourself.
afraid, man. My name is Leonard Gildarie. Come on and say your thing. Don't be scared here. If you want to attack, if you want to say that the woman doesn't know any history of Guyana, the woman said very clearly, and this is somebody who was. I think we should be very proud of her. The lady went to become an assistant secretary, I think, of labor in the United States. Not only that, she married here 10 years ago. Her parents grew up here, and she is the daughter of Guyanese people. So I don't understand. But in any case, you have the right to say that. But the only thing that you don't have a right to say is trying to push your thinking into my thinking. And if you want to push that thinking, you go to CNN and DPP or wherever you want to go do it. There's a caller online. Good day, caller. Good day, caller. You're
Hello.
near? Yes, you're near. Go
Good
ahead.
day, sir.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
trying to get on a long time to this program, but every time I call, Mr. Gilbacher and Mr. Yog don't want me to speak.
Okay.
But what I'm going to say, I was watching a program with Gordon. I can't remember the name, and I think Peter Wickham. Very interestingly, Mr. Peter Wickham had some good ideas for us. We have to start thinking about giving those guys amnesty because this roller coaster will go on for a long time. What I want to do is for Mr. Yog to get that guy, Peter Wickham. That guy seems to understand Guyana's position. I don't think some of our politicians...
We had Mr. Wickham. I don't...
Yeah,
we had
yeah,
Mr.
I
Wickham.
remember. But what I'm saying, he mentioned, and Yog would understand what I'm saying, he was talking about that amnesty to give those guys, like those people who were involved in this election and others, in a way that you will catch them out of it. And they would this thing going around and around in a circle that we would get somewhere. The politicians would get a chance to, do what they want to do afterwards. But we get this country running in a way that everyone will benefit. You think you follow me, Yog?
Yes, follow.
So,
and I
get, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you, and it is something that is under consideration presently. The problem we have, my brother, is that there are certain persons that one can reach out to, but they have closed their eyes and ears. I mean, so even overt and covert means of reaching out to them is now working. And I'll give you a case in point. We are being told that the U.S. government, before announcing the sanctions, Leonard, that they try to reach out directly to the president.
Yes, I was told that too.
Yeah, and so there are efforts, but caller, I take your point, and I'm not in disagreement. On that show, I said it, and I'm not in disagreement that we need to have a middle ground where we meet and say, okay, let's put it behind us and move on. It happened when Haidt did his slow fire, more fire, right? Remember, Georgetown was burning down. And at some stage, sometime or the other, we needed to have some kind of discussion. And at the same time, though, my brother, I must say to you, it's a hard thing. You know, when a man is doing wrong.
I don't think it's hard. Look at what happened in Suriname. The guy got the guy. President. Yes, he came out, have an amnesty, and the guy, the political situation is stable there. Look at the exchange rate in Suriname, 8-1. Look, our exchange rate is 240 or 250, somewhere about. And we're not getting anywhere. Things are getting more difficult for the people. 4 months in lockdown.
More difficult is an understatement there, boy.
You don't have anything to offer the people. And come on, your people are suffering, and other people are suffering. I am of no race, so I don't have to, think. I'm not talking race. I'm talking about your people, their people. They know what's happening. But come on, you have no heart for the people, If you go to be a president of a country or you go into politics, you should be able to share out some of that big salary you're getting to the people now. You're not doing anything for the people. Come on. We got to move this country forward, and we got to do something for the people,
Thank you very much, caller. Caller, we'd have to cut in here. I'm being signaled by my people that we have to prepare for the court right now. So, caller, thank you very much. And Mr. Gilback and Mr. Yoga has heard you very, very clearly. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant rest of the day, dear. So, we are, Yoga, very quickly, could you wrap up because I have to bring it to an end.
Tonight we have Mr. Anil Nandlal, maybe with a surprise guest, but so far it is Mr. Anil Nandlal. Tomorrow night we have Chris Ram and Selwyn Peters, which is another interesting night coming up because we got to keep tabs of what's happening. To that caller's point, I support that and I would be one for it. And I do wish we could find a group of us in this country that can reach out to all sides in the divide and say, let's talk, because talk is what will take us through. But Leonard, that is probably for tomorrow's show.
Thank you very much, and I want to say thank you for all. We are going to be contacting you guys. Know how to get me, and we are going to be we're coming out with some help. Thank you very much for right across this country for being with us. You're real passionate today. That is because we're ending to the or we coming to the end of our breaking point. And so that's where it is. So we're going to be back with you at 1:30 tomorrow. And this evening, room 592, Dr. Yog Mahadeo is going to be leading the way with Anand, former Attorney General and candidate for the People's Progressive Party, bringing their take. So thank you very much. We bring an end now, and please stay with us as we bring you coverage from the High Court on the elections case.
Win $100,000.